Ciao e benvenuti a tutti. TF32 is here, back with the Ride 5 990cc Championship. We last left off with our first team win, and I got the win at the Le Mans Bugatti circuit, and we are now the championship leaders, which I will get to in a moment. But this is the first of 3 races of a big make or break for our teammate Shinny Nakano. As you will see in the standings right now, he is dead last in the standings and has only put up 10 points. If he does not score a total of 25 points by the end of the Dutch TT, he's out and Olivier Jacques takes over. So I lead by 10 points over Barros, and it's a whole bunch of Hondas right behind me, so I need to keep my consistency going. And it's a quartet of Honda teams ahead of me. LCR Honda is a force to be reckoned with, and we need to try and pick up loads of pieces to try and catch up to them, especially Makoto Tamada. And we still haven't seen entirely what Casey Stoner is able to do. So we go into Mugello this weekend. It is going to be completely clear skies despite what you see here. As I said in the end of the last video, replays are bugged, so it's only going to be the first person footage that you'll see. For the gears, I only turned the final ratio down by 1 click, and the rest I left as it was. And we're just going to fast forward through the qualifying here, see where everybody winds up. Here's another bombshell bit of news for you. FedEx signed a massive deal with Team Roberts, and that will take effect at the Circuit de Catalunya, the Catalan Grand Prix, which will take place next weekend. We see Gibernau at the top, Alex Barros, Marco Melandri, Nicky Hayden, Casey Stoner up there. But FedEx, that will also come with a massive engine upgrade that will dramatically affect the performance of Kenny Roberts going forward. So expect a huge boost in performance from him in the coming rounds, and a brand new livery on top of that. Stoner goes on pole position provisionally. Barros, the former championship leader, in 5th. Gibernau and Melandri make it a 2-4 for Movie Star Honda Grassini. Valentino Rossi, the home favorite, only in 6th. And then we have 2 Japanese riders of Ukawa and Tamada in 7th and 8th. Nakano still nowhere to be seen right now. And Nicky Hayden is really the only American flying the flag high on the front row, as he's been the only real consistent American rider aside from myself. Hopkins and Edwards down in 10th and 11th. Edwards we haven't seen really a ton from. We had his best ever finish of 7th. That was his one and only top 10 so far this season. It might not be the Italian that's in 6th, but we do have an Italian that is starting a bit further ahead, Marco Melandri. And Brazilians and Italians get on quite well. I speak at perfect timing, as you see Barros going up to 4th. But Max Biaggi, it is the rival Italian, up on provisional pole now with 15 seconds to go. Massimiliano Biaggi ahead of Stoner and Sete Gibernau. And I'm just scrolling down just to see kind of for the editing where everything is. My apologies, I recorded this maybe a month or so ago, so I'm just getting to grips with what we see. But Nakano needs a huge result for this in order to stay alive overall. Where does he qualify? He qualifies in 13th. Will he be able to improve? This would be huge, especially considering that he has that new ZX-10RR 2021 bike. But all the meat is in the main event on Sunday, in which I will see you then.
Are you ready, Boots?
Hello everyone and welcome to the TF32 commentary box. We are here live just about 50 minutes north of Florence in the Tuscan Mountains here in Italy. So on the front row, Max Biaggi, the 156.209 alongside Casey Stoner and Sete Gibernau. Row 2, it's a trio of Hondas, Makoto Tamada, Nicky Hayden, and Alex Barros. Row 3, Marco Melandri, Valentino Rossi, and Toru Ukawa. Row 4, Kenny Roberts, John Hopkins, and Colin Edwards. It's an all-American row. Row 5, Shinji Nakano. Big result from him today needed. Danny Pedrosa and Tony Elias. Row 6, Christopher Mullen, Loris Capirossi, and Troy Bayliss. And rounding out the back, Carlos Checa and yours truly, as usual. So, we have a very unusual race here today. It is clear skies. It's going to be a 10-lap race here. And it's probably my most awkward race that I'll be doing so far. We're switching to a hard rear compound. I mean, Mugello usually is a very warm area. And on the MotoGP games, I always run hard, but the tire mechanics are a little bit different in this game. Running half power, I believe. So, without further ado, we're getting to the grid. Max Biaggi on pole. Italia on the grid. They're going wild. The lights are red here at Mugello. They are out and we're off. And I'm getting off to a terrible start right here. For whatever reason, I pull a wheelie. There's a little bit of reasoning behind that. Earlier on, during that, I was going for record attempts at the Daytona Oval. But going back to this race, Casey Stoner takes over the lead at the front. Shinji Nakano, he gets into the top 10. If he can maintain that, that will for sure save his seat on this grid, as he sits in 6th position, battling Ukawa, I believe that is. Is it Ukawa or is it Barros? It's Alex Barros that he's battling, and now he is relegated to 7th position. And we are in 12th right now. We do manage to recover a little bit. The AI are a little weak on this turn, Casanova. So I try to numb down my riding style a little bit, just so I'm not at a cheap advantage against the AI. But Shinji Nakano in 7th. He hasn't had a single... you know what? I think he did have one top 10. But he hasn't been in the top 6. This is like a totally different realm for him. Kenny Roberts up into 9th. Really good stuff from the 2000 World Champions. We have Danny Pedrosa challenging right behind. And you barely see it in the distance. Max Biaggi is battling Casey Stoner. This is the first real amazing spot that Stoner is in, because he hasn't really shown those big glimpses, those flashes of brilliance that Makoto Tamada has had, jumping a little bit because, I mean, I've had to stitch some parts together because of obvious rewinds. In the replays, in the TV screen replays, you wouldn't see that. But going down the front straightaway, Casey Stoner leads us. Biaggi, Gibernau, Melandri, Tamada, Barros. Nakano just overtakes Barros for 6. Hayden, Roberts, and I believe that's Christopher Mullen in 10th place. That is your top 10. Another thing I'd like to mention is that we have a special helmet for just this round for the Dr. Rossi. Because usually at the Italian Grand Prix he rocked a special helmet, so I want to continue with that tradition here, as we have John Hopkins battling Rossi for a bit of a position. Rossi usually the favorite for victory at Mugello, but unfortunately not this time around. Casey Stoner still leading, but Biaggi keeping him all the busy on the rear of him. It's funny, in the MotoGP games, I enter this turn usually at like 3rd or 4th gear. I mean, usually 2nd, although that time I had it in 3rd. Nakano. This is amazing. This will drastically impact his ability to save the seat. If he gets a result like this, he won't need to push as hard for the remaining rounds, because as it stands right now, he is on 10 points. And in 6th position, he gets 10 points. So that would push him up to 20, which means he wouldn't need to get as much to guarantee his seat for the second half of the season. And he's on the inside of his fellow compatriot, Makoto Tamada, up into 5th. I mean, he should be up this high because he's on one of the fastest bikes in the game. And I try to get into the slipstream of Toru Ukawa, another Japanese man. Biaggi and Stoner still battling. Nakano up into the top 5. He's up into 4th. This is unbelievable. And we have an amazing battle here. He goes wide, but Gibbernow gets on the inside. I mean, I'm guessing it is. I mean, usually I have the names right in front of me, but not this time around. 3 abreast going into Poggio Secco. This is insane. This is some of the craziest battling I've seen on this game since starting the series. Nakano, for now, is up in the front. He's in 4th, as Tamada and Gibbernow are still battling for 5th. And I try to make my way. I go for a double overtake, but I still just overtake 1. Vermeulen and Roberts battling with me for 9th position. Tamada runs it a little bit wide, going to the Arrabbiata corners. And I believe that is, in fact, Melandri, another Italian who has had quite good runs around Mugello in 05 and 06. He's rocking it in P3. As Gibbernow gets knocked wide, we have a 4-way battle for 5th position, just ahead of Vermeulen. How is this going to play out? It's unbelievable. And Nicky Hayden, he's involved in that as well, the 2006 World Champion, although he doesn't have any championships in this alternate universe here. Coming out of Biondetti 2, we are looking for some way through on Ukawa, so we have to outbrake him into Piccini, the final corner. Mugello, very well known for having very long sweeping turns, but look at that gap that Nakano has in P4. He's almost by himself as Ukawa, by default, blasts right by us. In some of the future rounds, I will be switching to the factory machinery. Barros now in P8, as, I mean, he's usually been consistently in the top 10 throughout his career, but this battle does not end, does it? Still flirting with the top 10, not quite solidly through. Still battling with Ukawa, still side by side. We try to get through out of Poggio Secco. Doesn't work. He pulls a little bit of a wheelie. Does it become his demise? Not entirely. So I try to find a way through. And that turn right there that Vermeulen just cut, that's very odd. They cut the turn, they don't get penalized. But if you do it, you do get penalized. And fortunately, this is just something that Milestone does not care about at all with their games. Nakano still in P4, the top 3 on the podium. Casey Stoner, he had a crash out in 2006. Max Biaggi, Marco Melandri. There are 2 Italians on the podium right now. Unfortunately, none of them are Valentino Rossi. He is down well outside the top 10 at the moment. And we're battling with Christopher Vermeulen right now, trying to get into P9. Let's see if we can get a solid Colorantau in here. Makoto Tamada looking to close that gap a little bit on Nakano, who is holding very strongly P4. We get a very good run out of Piondetti's, but Chris Vermeulen on a much newer Suzuki. Of course, we are on the Suzuki-powered Kawasaki, so we have to work considerably more just to battle with Vermeulen. And the straight, this is where a lot of overtakes tend to take place, but we're finally in the top 10. I'm wrong, it's Gibbernow that's up in P3. Melandri is in that battle with them. And I'm just really consumed by all this action in front that I didn't really spend as much time looking at the standings that are to the side. But Barros, the former championship leader, he needs to try and get past these guys to continue having a shot at the championship. Meanwhile, Nakano in 4th still. Great for the team. And who would have thought he would be the person that is actually contributing the most points to our team, whereas I've been doing all the heavy lifting. If he could give us these kinds of results consistently, we could ascend out of P5, which is where we are, and have a battle against LCR, which is what we need. All 4 of the Hondas are ahead of us, and those are the only bikes that are ahead of us. I mean, that Honda is proving to be so strong, but in the next round, Kenny Roberts, as I said earlier, is going to get that upgrade. And he's going to be switching over to a BMW-powered KR211V. And he should consistently be in the top 10 in the coming rounds. Only one podium for him so far. So, look at this. Gibbernow is actually battling Biaggi at the moment. These two former contenders for the championship, or at least the runner-up spot, when Rossi was just seen dominating proceedings. And this may allow Stoner to break away just that little bit. Gibbernow has closed that gap. I can't really see the standings right now. It's just too pixelated in the distance. But will he successfully be able to overtake him to get P2? No, he's still behind him. Can that become a change, though? Someone runs wide. Who is it? It's Gibbernow. Gibbernow runs wide. So he needs to work a little hard just to make it through, as I do slipstream past all three of those guys. Barros, Melandri, and who else is behind? I forget who. But Barros bumps me behind. And who's the other guy? I guess Ukawa is in that now. And we have another bit of cuts just so we can have smooth as possible editing. And we're not in P7, we're now in P8 behind Barros. And look at Tamada and Nakano. I think they've officially entered a bit of a battle. Biaggi, meanwhile, in the front, he's looking to overtake Stoner. Can he do that? At least give the Italians some Italian guy to root for. I mean, we're going to have to wait and see, but this is some entertaining stuff right here in Mugello. Unfortunately, because I can't see anything else beyond this, and we don't have the replay footage, I don't really have much more to say, except when I see stuff going on, everybody's really close. Gibbernow back on the back of Biaggi. So we'll see exactly where that goes, and we look on the outside of Barros into the final corner. Don't completely get anywhere though, but we have to worry right now about Nakano, who has Tamada breathing all behind him. Tamada is also my championship rival at the moment. Tamada's still in 5th. Melandri, Ukawa blast right by me, to be expected. And Gibbernow goes wide, and that allows Nakano to get into the battle, and it becomes a battle for P3 all of a sudden. Gibbernow still in 3rd, but Nakano and Tamada are directly behind. And this could spice things up big time as someone goes wide. Who is it? Was it Tamada? I think it was. Although Nakano, he just gets relegated to P6 now. And we now have to see where everything goes. Can Nakano still stick with Tamada and Gibbernow and make some magic happen? Casey Stoner still leading, and Nakano and Tamada could be closing that gap just a little bit. And so could Barros, Hayden, and I. In fact, Hayden has closed in quite a bit. And now Biaggi is closer to Stoner than he is to Gibbernow. And could we see a lead change as a result of that, as I go wide, embarrassingly, at Clorentau? And we get into the grass. This is a track where you do not want to unsettle the bike. I'm going to say that, and I speak from experience. And I do fiddle a little bit with the power mappings because I want to be able to compete fairly against the AI and not be able to just get a cheap win, because I have to compromise somehow with the AI. So Marco Melandri in 9th, right behind us. Gibbernow up into 3rd. Where's Biaggi? He's in 4th. Tamada. Okay, so now we got a big battle going on. Stoner's still holding that lead, and Nakano's battling with Biaggi for a higher position. Biaggi in 4th, Tamada in 3rd, Nakano in 5th. And I mean, it's getting so entertaining that I want to try and close in on these guys. And I really screw up that chicane right there, and it's just usually a turn you do not want to get wrong. And now Hayden is on the back of Nakano. Could Nakano be regressing right now? This is something we don't want, and he definitely doesn't want it if he wants to keep his seat. And things are still ever so spicy at the front. Mugello always provides exceptional racing. Just so entertaining racing. Gibber now completely on the back of him. And Tamada, we have a new leader, Makoto Tamada, out of nowhere. He finesses his way quietly into the lead of this race. And he wants to try and break away as Gibernau, Stoner, and Biaggi have to pick up the pieces and scrap for second at the moment. But the straight usually causes some drama. We can see coming up what kind of drama that will spark up. Still behind Barros. We have a little bit of a history. I was trying to work with him at Turkey, trying to catch up to some riders in that previous race. But will we see another lead change over the line? We will find out, as there's only so much I can see. Gibernau, Stoner, Biaggi, Nakano, Hayden, Barros, myself, Melandri, and Pedrosa is the top 10. Does Tamada run it a little bit wide? I think so, but he still holds on to it. And wow, they are just so close. I really don't have much to say right now, except just watching and just waiting to see what happens next. Because, I mean, obviously we don't have the replay footage. Alright, now Tamada runs it wide, and he fends off Gibernau, and that's going to cause a little bit of shuffle, because it's going to unsettle the pace just a little bit. Hayden attempting to overtake Nakano now, and he really doesn't want this. I would hate for this to be a flash in the pan as well, because he needs to regularly be racking up points. Not just here, but in the next 2 rounds if he wants his seat, because he could just be leaving his seat warm for a very impatient Olivier Jacques right now. Now Nakano is fighting. He's up into P3 for the moment, and could this be a podium? This would be an exceptional rise back, but he runs it wide, pushes Hayden out of the way. Tamada also runs it wide, and that allows Biaggi to take the lead. So we have another lead change now. Nakano relegated to P6. I would love to be able to get in front of Barros and try to defend Nakano if I can, just to make sure he doesn't lose any more positions should he get to those measures. And now we have Barros on the back of Nakano. We're entering the final lap of the race. Biaggi leads. It is, I believe, the second lead change of the race. Biaggi, Gibernau, and Tamada. Nicky Hayden also creeps his way up into podium contention. How is this going to turn out? Nicky Hayden, he takes advantage of Tamada going wide. He takes over third. Is Tamada going to fight back? He does. He retakes third. Stoner now on the back of Hayden. It's a trio of Hondas fighting for that final podium position. And Nakano, he was in fourth. He's in P6. And all he can do right now is spectate and just see what happens. Everybody going into the dirt just temporarily. And there's also a tiny bit of a scrap going on for the lead. Gibernau temporarily overtakes Biaggi. Biaggi has to fight back and retake the lead for himself, and himself only. He does not have a win. He just has 2 podiums so far in this season. So the battle for the win is going to be between those 2. But can we see anything else happen with Nakano? Try to contribute some more points into Kawasaki Racing Team. Still sandwiched in between Stoner and Hayden. And the AI tend to go wide at some points going into this turn right here. Could we see any other additional drama happening here? Nakano holds on to 5th. Nobody does anything dramatic going into this last chicane here. Can we see any drama here? Gibernau all over the back of Biaggi. This is going to go right to the wire here. And it's going to depend who gets the better exit coming out of Buccine. So Biaggi holds on to the lead. Gibernau now has an opportunity to slipstream and try to take Italian Glory away. Will it happen? Over the line. No, it doesn't. And Nakano, will he hold on to 5th? He does. It is a 5th place finish. It's his best results by a mile in this season so far. We have to settle for 8th, but it doesn't matter because we contribute big time for the points this season. Jibber now behind by 0.2 seconds. Tamada rounds out the podium in 3rd. Stoner, Nakano, Hayden, Barros, and myself. It is both Kawasaki's in the top 8. Exactly what we need to get back in contention. Rossi, we didn't talk about him at all, but he silently overtook Pedrosa to get 9th. Pedrosa in 10th, and then Checa, Vermeulen, Landry, Bayless, and John Hopkins are the final point scorers. Kenny Roberts, his final race on the MV Augusta in 16th, then Elias, Ukawa, Caparossi, and Colin Edwards. Another just season to forget for Colin Edwards, meanwhile, but nothing in comparison to Shinny Nakano. But he saves it all today with a 5th place. He is 4 points away from securing his seat for the remainder of the season. We still lead, but Tamada with that podium is only 5 points behind. Barros in 3rd, still within 10 points. It's still extremely close for the lead, the championship at the very least. Still in 5th, but even with that double top 8 finish, everyone finished solid enough to keep their spots. So we need to keep plugging away, do that, and hopefully our next round gives us better results. But we will have a new challenger in the form of Kenny Roberts in the next rounds. And speaking of the next round, we would be heading to Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya for the Catalan Grand Prix. But unfortunately, Milestone just doesn't like to include this track in their game, other than MotoGP. So instead, we're heading over to Mosport Park, aka CTMP, in Canada for the Catalan Grand Prix. So, I will see you then. Take care.